everyone, how are you this week? I hope it's been good for you. Uh, I don't know where you are, but at least in New Jersey, it's really very autumnal. I think I might have said that last week too, but it's getting cooler and the leaves are changing and they're falling and up, winter's coming. So, but all other than that, everything is well. I hope things are well with you and those you love and no complaints, right? Okay. Uh, Yesterday's meeting with the children was good, and I have been going. I haven't been staying there for dinner like as I usually do on Mondays because I've been involved with something, a project at the parish. So I yesterday I did have a chance to be able to be with them for dinner. It was my son's birthday, which was really nice. So it was a real family kind of a situation, and we got into all kinds of conversation during dinner but with the other kids as well. So that's always so interesting. I love talking to them and seeing their viewpoint of the world. Uh, it's, one's a senior in high school and one's a freshman in high school, the older children. And it's just nice to hear what they have. It's not, well, not it's nice, but it's nice to be able to have those conversations. And they asked me an interesting question yesterday, Grandma. Um, was it harder to live during the 60s or is it harder with things going on today? And I said, I thought the 60s was really rough in my time, but today's world is really in a place that needs a lot of prayer. And that's what I said. And they're very astute as to the history of the area, the Middle East and all that, and the Holy Land. And I'm supposed to be going to the Holy Land in the spring. I don't know if that's going to happen. I doubt it. And I'm kind of bummed about that. But I just pray for all these poor people and that war, it never solves or resolves anything. So I hope it's done and finished soon. It's just really upsetting. When these situations come up, and when you're teaching grandchildren, especially, and they're hearing it at school, and they, who watches the news, maybe they don't watch it that often, but they have access to a lot of media, and so sometimes they're scared. They see things happening, but it's not really being talked about. So yesterday we had a good chance with the younger ones who I usually teach, that the twins that I always teach. We had a good conversation about what is happening in the world. And you can't run away from it. It's there. But how do you bring the gospel into that? How do you bring it in? And it was so interesting because we did the gospel for this coming Sunday, which is about the greatest commandment, loving God first and then loving your neighbor as yourself and loving God with all your being. And so to try to put that in with, to kind of fit that in with what is going on in the world today, I think it was a good thing because you had a solution. I don't even want to call it a solution because who knows, but certainly a way of looking at things through the eyes of love and the deeds of love and the words of love rather than just this all out killing. So we did have a chance when we prayed, because when we get together, we always pray first and they pray spontaneously. And it always has to do with world issues or what's going on in the family. At the end, we always kind of pull it together with prayer that is related to the lesson or what is on the back of the lesson. You see the sheets, the handout sheet. But yesterday we talked about it. You could see it's on their heart. They hear it, people are talking about it. So, and it was just a gift that this gospel is coming up this Sunday that we could discuss it. For the younger children, love is an interesting, easy kind of concept for them in terms of what they know. They're so young and innocent. They know how they feel when they feel loved, and they're very good with it. They have a handle on it, and it's always easier to talk to children about love. And so this coming week, for the gospel again, the cementing of the concept of this most great commandment and that God calls us to love. So I think for them, they can love the trees, they can love their mom and dad, they can love their whatever. They're kind of young yet. So it's always refreshing to talk to younger people about love. Yesterday, again, they're older, so they're in middle school, and love isn't really floating in the halls of that school, I don't think, for the most part. But now the challenge is for them, how do you bring it to others? So for the older children, and using Venture, we had the lesson, well, not a lesson, but like a case study about this woman who started a food pantry and food, no shelter, It's Feeding America, and they were into that, and I just thought it was great. So we made some plans that we're going to start visiting either food pantries, at least start to feed, go to a food pantry and get the feeling, and then later on go to a place like a soup kitchen, hopefully to meet some of the people they're serving. I would love that for them, and they want that too. So we're going to see what's around and do some investigating on that part. I don't think the parish does much with that, but I think this is something we want to do. One of the things that I learned yesterday was to use the QR code, and I really strongly suggest it, and I had them use it, and it really enhances the lesson. And I told them now that they're old enough, they have cell phones. I mean, you only need to have this phone, but for them to have another option of looking at something that's related to the lesson by using that QR code. Which brings me to the parents, because you have the parents sections with QR codes, and to have them look at those things as well. I think that's a great little resource for them. It's an easy resource. It's not too difficult. But I noticed yesterday, I need to get the parents more involved in that. We've reached a point of complacency. And it's like, they know the kids are learning and I'm having a good time. It's good for grandma. It's good. We're there. And even though they're listening at times when they're there, they're hearing what's going on. I think they need to do more in terms of being more hands-on with the kids. Either usually, I think at this stage of the game would be through discussion. They're old enough to have these discussions. And the way it came about was the children decided, and I think I told you this last week, that they are going to choose a song for every lesson. So my son was there, and I said, the kids were very excited about the lesson, and my granddaughter said, yeah, but dad's not. So, but see what you think. So we played a song. I thought it was lovely. They chose it. They were feeling very proud. He said, I don't really think it relates to the lesson. And I said, well, why not? So he got into this conversation, and we got into the conversation with the children about why the song did or did not relate to the lesson. So, and it made me realize this was great. I mean, I loved having this dialogue, this conversation. They need to be a little more involved, and I think really referencing them to the those QR codes as well will be a good thing. They talk about it, the kids have talked about it, but I think maybe it's time for the parents even to get into another level of learning along with the children. So that was yesterday. I did bring up 1 Corinthians 13, love is patient, love is kind, because we were talking about love, and just that it was it had nothing to do, it wasn't in the lesson, but it just kind of came um, upon us, and talked about who is patient, who is kind. And a good conversation yesterday. They were really in tune with it. I think the more they're responsible for the lesson, the more they get out of it. And I noticed that last week as well. So that was it this week. So I look forward to seeing you next week. Again, if you have any questions, please get in touch with me. You have my email address, and God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.